I've been involved in a lot of fundraising. I see how horrible it is as a process. The problem is these small companies that can become big and represent the MENA region and become global brands out of the MENA region are not being seen. There is no way to expose those.
You're creating a business in the MENA region, and your primary thought, before you even connect two bricks of Lego, your first thought is, I'm going to sell my Middle Eastern business to the white guy.
Forget about IPO. Forget about exiting. Think how you want to build a big thing that can last for 100 years. Coming from Silicon Valley here gets funding blindly just because they are based there. But today it's shifting.
Ahlan wa sahlan. This show, Unfiltered with Muhammad Chbib, cuts through the noise and goes straight into the points of what will make the MENA region a great region again. We look at the future of MENA together with very interesting guests. Here's my promise. I'm not going to waste your time with very superficial questions. I'm going to ask those questions that no one else dares or wants to ask. And here's my second promise. You're going to be at a table with some of the most inspiring leaders that the Middle East has created, either from within the Middle East or people who live abroad that contribute to the MENA region's success. Today's guest is Hussein Wehbi. Hussein and I have known each other for, I don't even know, but we met in 2011 when I entered the startup field in the UAE with Sukkar.com back then. Hussein was in charge of UAE with Aramex. And it was a complex story, but I know Hussein now as a management veteran in the Middle East with healthy management style. That's one thing. The second thing is he's a fixer with a customer centricity you cannot think of, really. And the third thing is he stands for me for public-private partnerships in a very, very, very healthy manner. And I think this is one of the USPs that the GCC holds, actually, and especially the UAE. Hussein is also a very inspiring speaker. You probably have seen him all over your feed, and I saw him all over my feed, especially on LinkedIn, and decided to give him a call, catch up over coffee, and record this session. Let's get into it. Ahlan Hussein. How are you doing?
Good to see you after a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time. Hussein, tell me, what's the first thought that comes to your mind when you remember how we met?
This episode is going to be unfiltered.
It is unfiltered.
Uncensored.
Let's get to it.
It was a horrible moment. Whoever is seeing this episode, definitely they can go back to my LinkedIn feed and see what I will put today as a post about how we met, because it's a big story. But honestly, the details are in the post. But for me, it was horrible and very much educational and changed a lot of things which I didn't see. But you were very tough.
I'm a nice guy. Come on. Like, I'm not tough.
You were a tough customer. The beauty is today we are friends, but before you were a client of mine.
I know.
And the whole story is how we flipped from you being a tough customer, keeping me on my feet, making me hate my job at that time, into a dear friend today whom we learned from, and we are moving in the same path with the same vision as well.
If I really go back to that time, I jumped into an industry coming from McKinsey Consulting. I thought I'm God's gift to mankind. So
Exactly.
there was some level of arrogance.
That's the problem, yes.
That probably you saw and you're like, oh my God, what is this? No, but I entered into a space called e-commerce in the Middle East, in fashion. 3 areas I don't know anything about. And then I had a logistics partner, and I felt they're not doing what I want to do. I'm not even judging whether you were good or not, so I'm not going to do that. But I had certain demands, and I wanted you to do this the way I want. And everyone you talk to was always defensive, which is, I think, a natural Middle Eastern behavior. What struck me at that time is that you took all the crap that came out of me. And I remember there were some things where I was demanding and really one-way broadcasting. That's how we call it. And what you have done is you've absorbed it, you've taken it, you went away. I'm pretty sure in the car you called me names. I can imagine.
Yeah, I did.
Because I deserved it. But you came back, and it literally changed the relationship between one of the biggest e-commerce startups that was created, actually one of the first e-commerce startups that were created in the region,
and one of our biggest customers as well.
And we actually brought you into e-commerce back then, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then it became a relationship that I talk about today, like with people. I'm like, this is the guy that I go to when I have any question regarding logistics, and also regarding all the story that you will tell today about what you've done beyond. So thanks for being here again,
My
Hussein.
pleasure. My pleasure.
And what I want to talk about in Unfiltered is primarily the MENA region. And as a kid, I was hit by the negativity. And as I grew up in Europe, there was always negativity about the MENA region. These guys have a lot of money and they waste it. Decadence. There's nothing good. So I ask my guests usually, the first question that I want to know of is name one brand, global brand, coming from the Middle East that somehow serves mankind or humanity. You're not allowed to mention neither Emirates Airline nor Qatar Airways. One brand that we created here that made it to a global brand.
My answer is going to be a bit strange. Dubai.
Okay.
Dubai is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Dubai, everything you said, it applies to the brand Dubai. Okay, behind this brand, a lot of values between humanity, between the developments that happen, between innovation, leadership, visionary leadership. So yes, no, I'm not going to tell you about a company. Dubai is a brand, and this is my personal opinion. And Dubai became a global brand. And then when you said about Emirates and Etihad, they are sub brands of one of the best brands in the world. If you don't like it, it's your problem. I insist.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Now, this is going to get on my list as the next thing you're not allowed to mention.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking really a consumer brand, right? A packaged good consumer brand, a car brand, something that people can actually buy for money and keep as in their possession. Dubai is a feeling that is sold. That the brand value, I think, is this feeling of, something big, shiny, glossy, and I get that. That's something actually that is one of the stories that I tell is someone took a decision with a vision back 30 years ago, and they executed. They executed like machines. Now, my question is, why does the MENA region produce so little of this global visibility? What do you think is the underlying issue there?
Honestly, we have a lot of challenges, although I always speak positively. And for me, we have 10 times more opportunities. We're not grabbing the opportunities, Muhammad. The ecosystem is super strong when it comes to the foundation, but the support needed to grow. Look, I hate the word unicorns. Khalas, enough unicorns,
Excuse us.
everybody. Yes, but I'm talking about a company in the size of a unicorn. You can export such companies maybe every year. Why not one or two? The problem is the support. The funding is a very big problem today. I've been involved in a lot of fundraisings. I see how horrible it is as a process. The problem is also these small companies that can become big and represent the MENA region and become global brands out of the MENA region are not being seen. So I think there is no way to expose those. Maybe we don't have a platform, a system, a process, I don't know what do you call it, to expose those to the world, because even investors not necessarily should be from this region. We've seen a lot of investors coming from overseas to invest in MENA companies. So yes, today you had a lot of great brands who could have gone globally, but they crashed because the very strict fundraising process, which was maybe affected by what happened in Silicon Valley a couple of years back, if you remember. So the whole trust in the startup system went down, and this affected this region. So today, any successful brand trying to go really global out of this region is having those very tough measures of assessing them, funding them, and supporting them. That's how I see it. And governments, let's be honest, not every government in the MENA region is supporting entrepreneurship and startups and new businesses out of the region. Not all of them. We have a couple of countries, especially in the Gulf, are doing that, but the rest need to really step up.
Because, and that's a very good point. So I try to break it down usually in: do we have the talents? Do we
100%.
have funding? Do we have in a framework, a legal framework that allows us to do entrepreneurial work? And do we have enough exposure internationally, right? And then the final thing, it boils down to me, and I mentor so many startups, and the founders come. The other day, I had a founder from Amman, and I love the guys in Amman. But then the narrative was, I'm going to create whatever ABC in Jordan. Like, good idea. Why Jordan? It's a great country, very big. Like, Jordan is nothing. Like, why don't you take it Arabic, like the whole region? La, Jordan is big. It's a huge country. It's great. The thinking is so limited to national boundaries, and I've seen that many, many times. There's national boundaries that are being picked by entrepreneurs, and they stick within this framework. It's a mental framework that restricts them. Now, when you go to Silicon Valley, you have some Indian who just migrated to Silicon Valley who's thinking about creating a company that will conquer the world.
Mm.
This thinking is missing here. Why do you think this is missing?
I agree with you, and let me give you an example. Am I allowed to mention names of companies?
You're allowed to do whatever you
Okay,
want. We're
there's a
unfiltered.
company which I wrote about couple of days back, and they are doing it right. It's called Rabbit. I think they started a couple of years back in Egypt. They wanted to crack the Q-commerce, quick commerce, to ensure 20 minutes delivery. And doing this in Egypt, a lot of traffic and huge geographical area. It's not an easy thing. They did it. If I'm not mistaken, they were profitable. So the first thing they decided is to scale to this region, and they decided to come to Saudi 2 weeks back. When I saw the news, I could have had two thoughts. What are these guys doing? Scaling quickly like this? Or did they take the right step? Honestly, I saw that they took the right step for different reasons. First of all, the mindset of going regional before going global, because you start local, you scale regional, and then you start thinking global, which will take you maybe 10 years. Secondly, the founders, they are good talents. Okay, again, this is not an ad for them or a promotion. I always speak about any successful startup because we're proud of them. And the number 3 is the investors behind them. Big names. The moment you see that big names like XYZ in Saudi who believed in them and backing them up, you know that this company is on the right path. So this is how I see it. Starting from Jordan or from Egypt or Lebanon and remaining with this local mindset of I want to grow there, it's very tough. Today, our region, not the whole MENA today, is having the luck to get all the support from the private sector, and the markets are small. So it's good to start in any country. Start your base in Jordan. Aramex, by the way, started in Jordan. I mean, Fadi has a great story to tell. It started from Jordan as a very small company, and it went global. So that's how companies should think. Can you, as a Jordanian or as a Lebanese or as an Egyptian or as a
Syrian.
Syrian,
Please.
of course, yes, definitely, of course, start a company overseas and not to choose your country? Yes, why not? It just depends on the support you're getting locally. Again, when I say support, it's all about the funding. If you're not able to fundraise, you're out. Unless you want to bootstrap, and bootstrapping during those days is like shooting yourself in the foot.
I've had a conversation with one of the big investors in Silicon Valley recently. Like, man, you need to bootstrap, you need to do that. Habibi, when you sit in a country in the GCC and you're not a national and you want to bootstrap, it means, and let's say you have a family and children, you're an experienced guy, you burn in excess of $15,000 a month, period. How do you bootstrap if you don't have savings that can take you for at least 1.5, 2 years? It doesn't work. And I think that's the major difference between our ecosystem here and the ecosystem, let's say, in Europe or in the US, is we don't have the social system here in place that supports all the founders that are potential founders that could bootstrap because they have the capabilities. What do you think of that? How do we solve this thing? Do you think there's a role
Yeah.
by the policymakers, or
No, it's a culture and a mindset. Let me tell you why. Today, when you go to investors, unfortunately, to be accurate, around 70% of them, their own aim when they come and try to fund you as a new great startup is only the financial returns, which I agree on. In the end, it's business. But today we have to change this mindset. If you want to make the MENA region again great as your mission, you need people to come and invest in this, not only from a monetary perspective. They want to be part of a great story, a great impact in this region, to support those entrepreneurs. All right? Even if the return is a bit less, but you are leaving impact, in the community.
it's a
Not
long-term impact?
exactly. So, allow me to say this because this is unfiltered. When you go and have a great idea, great founders, great talent, something that will fly, and then you give the due diligence to specific consultancy companies who do not understand the industry, trust me, it fails because they will go back, especially for family businesses. I mean, I've been involved in a lot of cases whereby a family business is very interested to invest in a startup within the country to support them, or not necessarily a local startup. It can be from any of the countries we mentioned. The issue is they don't do it themselves. They outsource it to a consultancy company. The consultancy company doesn't know that industry. They come and say no, and that's it. So this is one of the biggest problems. I mean, people are struggling.
True. And that's one of the things that really I hate. And the other thing is, if you look at the founders here, there's some exited founders here, right? Now there's a very few exceptions that re-inject the money they made from an exit into the ecosystem. Most of them don't. So
Mhm.
all this ecosystem building that happened outside of this region in the last 30, 40 years that really ignited the region, founders to founders, that is missing here. Another thing that is striking to me when I talk to founders, and I have probably at the moment 7, 8 startup founders that I mentor, what is your ambition? What is your goal? Is my question always. What drives you? And I think in 90% of the cases, the answer that I get, I want to exit to ABC. ABC is usually a company in Silicon Valley.
Mm.
You're creating a business in the MENA region, and your primary thought before you even like connect two bricks of Lego, your first thought is, I'm going to sell my Middle Eastern business to the white guy. And I'm on purpose saying that.
Yeah.
We are programmed that this is the best way for us to flourish. What do you think of that?
I'm against. What's built here should stay here.
Yeah, sorry, you're against it despite the fact that Aramex's biggest success is called they listed in NASDAQ.
Yeah, but if you look again into what Aramex did, they listed and then they delisted and then they listed and delisted, and then in the end they ended up here in the Dubai stock market. Okay, so they tried this route, but in the end they saw that this is our region. You cannot say that such companies like Aramex are local companies. They are global companies.
Per
Okay,
definition.
exactly, per definition, and they think global but act local, and this is the secret here in the company. I agree with you. Many people want to just exit after 4 years or 5 years, or I want to go IPO. Forget about IPO. Forget about exiting. Think how you want to build a big thing that can last for 100 years. Why should we today, by the way, build companies with a average age of 4 to 5 years and think of selling them? Because it's not as easy as you think. The foundation of the company will change when the original founders leave. Okay, they make money. For me, if you tell me, Hussein, this is $50 million, go build a company, I'll build for you a company from scratch with the best people in the world. And I aim to have it living as 100 years and becoming another legacy in a specific industry you want it. You understand my point?
Yes.
So,
But this is because you're a mature business leader. You understand that when you want to build something, you want a legacy.
yeah.
And you want to leave a legacy with impact. I think one of the
Exactly.
most frequent words you use when you publish your content is impact.
Yes.
And that's what I like. That's what drives me and drives most of the guys that I know that have done actually good work internationally. It's impact. It is impact on the region specifically. When you want to have impact, you need to create profitable businesses. And I think that's the thinking that I would promote here. And I tell every founder that I mentor, think about profitability at scale.
Exactly.
And then you have impact automatically. And then money is a result at the end
Yeah.
of the day. It comes to you.
And creating jobs. We need to think of how much, if again, you ask me about laws and frameworks from governments. Yes, we need. We need. We need to have in every country Ministry of Entrepreneurship. I believe personally. We need this. I think it is there in Jordan, if I'm not mistaken.
I think UAE as well.
And UAE, yes, but it should happen in every country. And these ministries should talk to each other. There should be a regional framework whereby these ministries will support the ecosystem and work on building the next 50 or 100 top global multinational companies out of this region. That's how it works.
Music to my ears.
That's how it
I've
works.
been preaching that for the last 12 years,
Yeah.
13 years.
Keep preaching. I'll help you if you want as well.
The
That's
problem
what
is
should
it
happen.
starts with a very simple fact. If I want to send a package from UAE to Saudi, I have two currencies. I have 5 tariff systems,
Yeah.
probably. I have 5 banking like systems, etc. We're not even aligned within the GCC on the most basic things. That's what I'm
Exactly.
trying to say.
Yes.
And I think this is something that would ignite so many new businesses that would come because they will benefit from the cash in the GCC overall and then take it.
And you know what? Where is the challenge, Muhammad? It's not only helping them through funds and money. Once they operate, they need business. and the government should support them in getting business. Okay, either through government contracts, which is happening sometimes, but it's still very limited, or starting to put them under the spotlight in the specific country that these are great players who deserve to be worked with, and incentivize companies, big companies, who support them. Today, a small company will come to disrupt a big company. That's how they think it. No, it can come and complement a dinosaur company which has been in the same industry for 50 years. So the first thing the CEO think, let me buy it, acquire it, swallow it so that they will not disrupt us. No, work with them, support them, let them grow, and then you think of acquiring them to transform your dinosauric operational way and mindset into the modern way.
And I love that because you're my public-private guy, right? I don't know anyone who knows
Yeah,
this
yeah,
better
yeah,
than
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Here's what I think about these things, and I've observed it in my consulting capacity. I've observed it in my startup capacity. Let's take a random bank in a GCC country. They have been offline, like branch after branch after branch. You go to the branch, you pull a ticket, you wait for 30 minutes, you get terrible service, and then you walk out. And then they hire a consulting firm, one of the MBBs or one of the big fours. They tell them, here's my 270 pages on how to make you online. They give them this book. Then they call a headhunter. The headhunter calls someone, usually a white guy from Europe, that comes in and says, I'm now the chief digital officer. I'm going to create you online. And then they start hiring people. And then they end up having 100 people in a department that creates an online platform based on the existing offline processes that they have. So basically, they patchwork actually all the terrible stuff and they create something. I've done businesses where, and probably if you take Al Musafir, for example, the travel business that we built, there was one major difference. There was a bold young CEO that said, look, we're a couple of $1 billion offline. We want to build online. Let me create the Chinese wall. Let me create an entity. You run this entity with your startup mindset, and I protect you from anything that happens in the old world. And that worked. Why isn't like public policy making, for example, promoting that within their own like work field, like in the ministries and the administrations, getting startup people like you, like me, to run things in a different way than the old school people? What hinders that?
Maybe I can see on it, to be fair, specifically in the Gulf region, I can see this a bit moving into that direction, but it needs more acceleration, because sometimes you see it going and then it slows down. This should be part of, again, we're not talking about on behalf of public sectors here, definitely it's personal views, but I think these things should be part of national strategies in the countries in this region. And then, as you said, they bring experts who had success impacts in this to help in designing the framework for this. In the end, Muhammad, I say the future is for the small and medium. Today, we started to see the big names crashing. I mean, I can mention for you now 20 names crashing. You don't know about it, but we know about it. Going down because of the legacy that they were living on. They woke up late, sorry, and they are multinationals. I'm not talking about
Yeah, and they will all end up in a consolidation game at the end of the day. And we know it already.
100%, 100%. What do? They consolidate and then they start buying and acquiring small companies across the world to really diversify their offerings and start making more revenues in a different manner. So, yes, there should be, it's a wake up call. I think what we're discussing today is a wake up call. The world is transforming into its new version. The type of talents today who will work after 1 or 2 or 10 years are different from me and you. Although me and you, we developed ourselves. I mean, I
But
consider
we're
myself
the
today,
old folks now.
yeah, they say there's generation Z and X and Y, and me and you from A and B. No, I call myself AZ. Okay, we are from the old generation, but we developed ourselves, and we exactly today are in the same mindset of generation Z. So we bridged ourselves from traditional to modern. How many people are doing this?
Too little.
Yeah.
Too
So
little.
companies should think like this. Public sectors across the world, not only in this region, should think like this. We are lucky here because the MENA region, we're a bit ahead from others. You know that. I mean, when you travel abroad to far countries, you will see them 20 years behind us from different areas.
I have a story for that. You know
Yeah,
that 2 years
let us
ago
know.
I returned to Germany because I was fed up with the region. I was like, I want to see reality out of this luxury bubble. I returned to I was born in Germany, right? So I returned there. I stayed 1.5 years. I couldn't take it. I came back. And the reason is exactly what you said. They're 20 years behind now on so many dimensions, but not on arrogance.
Yeah.
Not on arrogance. They still like patronize us. They raise their finger and say, you should do it
You're
this way.
you're half German?
No, like
Okay.
I used to always say I'm German with Arabic blood,
Okay.
because I was born there, raised there,
Ah, you're
educated there.
yeah.
But now I say I'm a proud Syrian who lives in the
Yeah.
GCC and has a German passport.
You know, funny story, since this is unfiltered here. I know a lot of friends. Okay, they have dual nationalities. Let's say, for example, I don't know, one Arabic and one European. And when you ask them, where are you from? Okay, 99.9% nobody will tell you they are from their original country. They will tell you from the richer one, from the more modern one, you know. I am from there. And I look at him and tell him, but you're originally from that place. Why you didn't say that? You're ashamed from your main origin or no? So what you said is great.
Yeah, but be very honest. Again, this is unfiltered. 10 years ago, when I used to travel to Saudi Arabia and someone asked me where you're from in Arabic, I would answer in English, I'm German.
Yeah.
لا يا أبوي لا, no. I'm like, yes, I'm German. And I refused to speak Arabic for a while for one reason, not because I'm proud of it or something, because of the sometimes abusive negativity you used to get back then.
Yeah.
That has changed over time.
Definitely.
I see a level of respect and a level of education that came, especially in the last, I would say, 7 to 10 years, that changed the game a little bit.
Hamad, and this is again what's going on when you say making the MENA region a great place. So I will zoom in always to the GCC because this is my sweet zone, as we say, and this is my playground. In the GCC, without any sugarcoating, I've never felt I'm an expat. Be it in Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, the amount of respect and support we get is unmatched. And you will never see it in any other part of the world. Again, extending this to the MENA region is the same. If I go to Jordan, to Syria, to anywhere, you feel the same. But because the Gulf is a bit different culture, different a bit than the other countries, I've never felt anything which made me feel that I'm not originally from here. And this helps a lot by attracting uh, small businesses, entrepreneurs from different regions to come here because in the end, it's going to be their second home as a region in specific.
And I see the biggest opportunity in exactly what you said right now. If you look at what's happening in the US, if you look at what's happening in Europe, we have a shift towards right radicalism. You have a shift towards really anti-Arabic, anti-Islamic, anti-anything that is not, I mean, let's face it, they don't have an origin that is so clean. It's a mix, it's a melting pot of different cultures. But I think we have an opportunity right now to create a campaign across countries in the MENA region to attract the top talents that are abroad. I looked at it last week, literally. Almost every top university in the US has a senior professor, an author of research papers that is phenomenal. Almost every other is an Arab or an Iranian or a Turkish or an Indian. So we have an opportunity right now, and entrepreneurs alike, by the way. If you look at unicorn, and I hate the word again, like exits in the US, you see that most of them on the founding team, they have people with our background. We have an opportunity right now to create an environment that attracts these people because they're sick and tired of what's happening there, both in Europe and the US. And for me, it's not about being negative about that. No, it's about seeing the opportunity we have right now here.
Yeah.
How would you address that? If I told you, and I know you have a phone book, if you dial certain numbers, they will pick up the phone when they see your name. And that's very important policymakers. Let's say you call the number one in any country. What would you tell them?
Look, I always believe the first step is to improve what they had. And what you've said, I think maybe I'm not really into these details. I have no idea. But in every country where you have challenges there, be it the way they look into specific cultures or countries or regions, maybe it's not a general thing. It can be, some in every country you will have.
No, in a local setting, you always have a good environment.
Exactly. So
Come on.
the overall laws in these countries will never encourage what you said. Europe or US, great countries. However, yes, I'm gonna talk about from the entrepreneurship and ecosystem perspective, it's well known, everybody knows that the Middle East, MENA region in specific, is much more stronger in this part. هلا, is Silicon Valley better than us? Today, I can tell you maybe no. We're becoming the next Silicon Valley. Before, I can say yes. We used to all look up at Silicon Valley. Any startup coming from Silicon Valley here gets funding blindly just because they are based there. But today, it's shifting. So for me, I would come and answer your question. If I had the chance to call any policymaker, I will call him or her and tell them, if you are not able to change your policies and enable those businesses to flourish in your countries, let's work together, all right, to bring them here. In the end, they will come here to our region. They will grow and flourish and become great names. And you will always be proud that they were originated in your country. Because sometimes you cannot change things, Muhammad. You cannot wake up in big countries out of this region and say, I need to change policies. Especially maybe they are not having direct focus on what we're talking about today. Maybe they are more focused on trading. Maybe they're more focused on
Tourism.
Classic. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. What I found interesting is if you ask me today, I can mention literally 200 names of people from Europe that moved to this region in the last 1 year alone. And I know them in person, 200 people. I can write down the names now. So there is something that attracts people right now in the region that doesn't exist elsewhere. What do you think it is?
Number one, I always say it, safety and security.
طبعا.
That's number one.
I left my wallet once on Sheikh
يعني in
Zayed
Arabic-
Road on a parking machine. It was there after 3 days.
In Arabic, we say Alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-amn wal-aman.
Yeah.
This is number one. Number two, the government support that we're seeing today when it comes to even the government services. Setting up a company takes you 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. The fees are becoming very, very, okay, when it started, they were expensive. Depends on which area you want to open, be it here, be it Saudi, be it Qatar, or any other GCC and MENA country as well. But again, focusing from my side on the GCC, the third thing is there is business. There is opportunities everywhere. There are opportunities everywhere, but they never come to you. I always say opportunities don't have legs. You have to search for them. And number four, if you come and work in an ethical manner here, all right, because when I say ethical, when I say compliant, in a compliant manner, because this is how this region today is building ecosystems. If you want to come as a clean company and do the best practices in a clean way, everybody will work with you. And number five, the multicultural environment here. How many nationalities you have?
I counted once 12 direct reports in, I think it was in Al Musafir to Tajawal. I had 12 direct reports. They had 21 nationalities and spoke 24 languages.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And they call New York a melting pot. I think Dubai or in general, this region is a melting pot
Of course. And the infrastructure, be it the logistics, the industrial, everything, we're more advanced here.
True.
That's the place to be.
Look, we've established that I think on the funding ecosystem, we have a long way to go still.
Yeah.
I think on the talent availability, I can at least tell that the founder material I see today is probably 10x better than the founder material I saw 10 years ago. I think that is not the big issue. I think there's enough ideas and that there's enough founder material for startups and also for leadership. I think that's changing. The third thing, and I think this is where I still observe a lot of learning potential for this region in order to really advance and be leading the world again is, and that's your forte, servant leadership, empathetic leadership. I still see a lot of people that are two things. Number one, they think authority is leadership. And I love one sentence you said one time about, along the lines of, authority is not leadership, inspiration is leadership. And I honestly, if there's one thing I would sign immediately, that's this sentence. So authority is one thing, or leadership. And the second thing that I seen is people are not authentic very often. There is two faces very, very often. And I'm pretty sure you come across people, let's take LinkedIn as an example. You come across people and you read what they post, you look to your right, you see the person shouting at someone.
100%.
This is not you. how do you think can we fix this in order, because I don't believe without good leadership you can become a good leading region as well. How do you address that
Uh,
in your day to day?
Again, you know me that only I like to speak positive, but yes, there's a very negative thing happening here, especially on social media and LinkedIn. We rarely see authentic leadership. And please, I don't want people to misunderstand me. Ghostwriting, I always said this is very important to make sure that you structure your content in a nice way. But there's a lot of executives, senior executives, and we don't know by name. By name, I mean, I can give you a list of 50, 60 today. And it's not bad what they're doing, but you need to think of your audience. Today, those leaders, they want to be thought leaders, okay, and show thought leadership. You have to be involved in writing that content because it reflects you. Okay, you can sit with the ghostwriter, tell him or her what you want, and they will write it for you in a good manner. This is number one, fine. But not to give it to somebody in your marketing team and just say, write for me anything, and you never see it. Number two, how do you know? And that's a tip that that leader, he or she, it's them who wrote the post or no. Again, this is not a golden rule, but this is my personal opinion. When you see something written and then in the end you say, what do you think of this? Please tell me in the comments. If a CEO of a $3 billion company writes that and he or she has time to read the comments and answer on them or like them at least, I will put million hats off. What I'm trying to say, Muhammad, is it's okay, but we need authentic leadership today. And what you said, I have a lot of companies I saw they got the best working place in the world, the golden place in the world, and I know people there. And I call them
And
at
you
their
ask
best.
them.
Horrible cultures. That's why I wrote about something a couple of days back. Governments need to start creating national mental wellness programs at companies whereby they will audit. So this certificate you take, which is the number one working company in the world, should come from the government based on a proper audit and based on the real feedback of employees who are there and who exited. And there can be different criterias. So this is the problem. Even leaders, you will see they speak about people-centric culture, but offline, it's not that.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
And I really like what you say because I think it's a combination. It's a combination of mental wellness and good leadership practice. I think that's very intertwined. Here's an idea: a government audit that measures in every company above a certain size measures the Net Promoter Score (NPS) on the employee level, and depending on the result of the NPS, you have an income taxation for the leadership levels N until N minus 2, for example. What do you think of that?
Did you read my post?
Yes, I
Huh?
did.
Okay. So
Of course.
what you're saying says exactly what I said, but you have rephrased it in a better way. I always believe in reward and penalizing. Okay, but I always prefer the rewarding part.
Yeah, likewise.
So if a company is having a great culture across the year and they get a high score based on the audit, it's good first of all to expose the CEO or the chairman or the board of the company that because they have been part of this. Number two, they can get incentives, which means maybe they pay less taxes, maybe they get,
Problem is we're tax free, so the
why not?
incentive
Why
is quite
not? Because
limited.
the impact, Muhammad, trust me, the impact is huge today. You started this discussion by maybe tough management, toxic management, whatever it is. This is killing businesses. I mean, let's be realistic. A CEO, a chairperson who's retiring after 5, 6 years will not care what happened after 5, 6 years when they go. And some of them will care. Most of them will care. But some of them will say, I will go, khalas, exit, make my money. But are you working on the culture of the company today to make sure that you hand over properly? And then whoever comes after you says,
It's a values question.
طبعا, طبعا. I always say, leave a stamp rather than leaving a scar.
Yeah.
That's what you want to leave.
I like it. Yeah, and I think there's a long way to go. But leadership, I met a guy yesterday. I'm trying to get him into this podcast.
I can
But
convince
he's
him.
like,
Tell me.
I'm shy. I don't like this. I'm like, and I talk about content and publicity and two things. And that's what defines you, in my opinion, at least from my perspective when I see you, because I've known you before you went public,
Yeah.
and I see how you are now, and I don't see a difference in personality. Obviously, you matured and you have a couple of things that you can talk about that you couldn't
With a beard.
15 years ago. The beard became gray, but you still have your hair. So I'm happy for that. No, but I always say when you're captivating people's attention with the way you talk and with the content you provide, you have an obligation to speak. You have an obligation to write. You have an obligation to share. At the same time, when you have impact on people, when you have this captivity in you, you always have the responsibility to say the right things, to talk about the right topics, and to not shy away. Hence, I call this unfiltered, to not shy away from challenging the status quo. Um, what made you, and I know there's many podcast episodes and there's much content about why you did this and how you faced haters in the beginning. But ultimately, if you look deep inside of yourself, what is it that drives you every day to stop your car on the side and do a video and share this video? What is it that you think?
Maybe the responsibility or the art of giving. Look, I never post on LinkedIn because I want likes or engagements. And the biggest example for this, I always tell people, is I disable comments for everybody. I just enable it for first degree connections, not because of I don't because I'm not really looking for mass engagement and comment. I want people just to see what I wrote and benefit from what I wrote. My purpose is to share knowledge and experience, and not to be famous or get engagements. However, engagements are good, but I don't think anybody has time to go into debates and trolls. And sometimes you said that you have haters. I will never allow anybody to cross the limits with me online, whoever they are. Now, going back to how I do it and why I do it, it became a habit. Every day I engage with millions of people through one post. Can you do this in the office? Can you do this at home or in the street? No. Secondly, it will keep people يعني you'll be always remembered for anything. I have people who call me, Hussein, we saw your post now. I wanted to speak to you 3 weeks back about something at work and I forgot. You popped up in my face now.
And we
So I
had a
remember.
WhatsApp exchange. I didn't call for whatever reason. Then you didn't have time. Then I didn't call. And then literally I saw a post on my thing and I'm like, I gotta talk to him.
Exactly. So it reminded me. So the purpose is really giving and sharing knowledge. Of course, building a personal brand is very important. In the end, I wanted to build my brand in an authentic manner. And I challenge anyone who comes and says, you are different offline than online. I
No.
can do that.
No, I pay money now just to confirm that you're the
Yeah,
same
and
person.
this is what we always advise people. Because LinkedIn is not only a place where you go and just throw content and think that you're famous. You don't want to be famous on LinkedIn. You want to be respected. You want to be listened, and you want to be always, as we say, remembered as a person who left impact. Opportunities are great, business wise.
It moves you from outbound to inbound
100%.
when you do this. I think that's how I would like
100%.
summarize it. If you are visible in an authentic way for something that is impactful, it creates inbound. I get 180 messages probably per week from random people I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Right? Never. And I take time between midnight and 2 a.m. every day to respond to each message individually. And it creates so many things, so many opportunities, as you said. And the first opportunity that I always take is connect person A with person B. Even though I don't get
Right.
anything out of that, but I get happiness of these people and gratefulness of me having connected them. That's the minimum that I have.
Yeah.
Let me switch because we're approaching the end of this session, and I have a tradition. Or I'm establishing a tradition for this podcast. I want to ask you 3 questions, kind of a rapid fire game. So first question is one book or one piece of media that changed your life.
I always say the same thing that I will never change. The Sheikh CEO by Sheikh Muhammad.
Okay.
It changed a lot the way I think.
Okay. One idea you believe could be $1 billion company right now if you start it.
Look, it's gonna be unfair if I tell you, but I have to tell you because I'll be biased. An e-commerce airline in the region, which I was trying to do in the past with a couple of founders. It's a new concept which can reach that.
Okay. I'll get back to that later. One thing you had to remove from your life to unleash your potential and to grow? And it was a tough decision.
I have to or I had to?
You had to in the past.
Uh, uh, the most important thing I removed is I thought that I know everything. The overconfidence. I'm still learning till today.
Funny. It would have been my same answer.
Uh-huh.
Why is that? And now the questions are over, but why is that people like you and me with this outgoing person, I mean, you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
I think that's crystal clear. I'm an extrovert. Why is it that we always have this in us? Does it come from childhood or did you develop something?
I don't know. Look, maybe because people like us grew very fast in our careers. Okay. And then when you reach a situation, ego will start hitting you in a way, especially because maybe me and you became executives at a young age, C-level on a young age. You start going into either I'm going to be having that ego, I know everything my way or the highway, or no. And this is where you decide. If you jumped into the ego side, halas, you're dead. You will, 5, 6 years, will be obsolete, outdated. If you say that, no, I'm still learning. I learn from my people. Today, I still learn from my people at work. So being in this mindset will open all the horizons for you.
Yeah, I agree. I got once probably the one of the best feedbacks I got in my life. It was a senior guy in McKinsey. He told me, Muhammad, you have to de-learn to start learning.
Exactly. That's it.
And that's very, very wise, I found. So another tradition I'm establishing, ask me anything. You have one question, shoot it at me. I promise it will be a very, very unfiltered answer.
Did you feel bad when you gave me a very tough shower when I met you for the first time? Or for you, it was normal? Have you thought that, you know what, I was meeting this MD, an executive, very respected guy, 10, 15 at that time years experience. I was a bit harsh on him, or no?
To be honest, basically for me, you were the company. And I didn't like the company processes. So I was really aggressive, and I know I was very aggressive with the company that was represented by you.
Yeah.
But at one point, and I literally was alone. No one hinted me at that. I was like, and these guys were not bad guys. They're just trapped in this bad process that they had to represent. And they were professionals. They took everything I gave them in a very professional manner. And then if you remember, we started interacting more frequently.
Yeah.
And you had one guy, and shout out to Muhammad.
Yeah.
He was with you, who I think understood me better than you at that time.
Yeah.
Because I think I hit your ego.
Yeah.
So you turned away a little bit back then. But Muhammad came to me and he said, Yahi, why? Let me try to solve it for you. Let's work together to solve it. And then literally, I would say we became friends very, very quickly because we interacted in a way where I understood your restrictions, you understood mine.
Exactly.
And we collaborated.
And we worked in different companies as well. When you moved to different companies,
I know. And
we
we
worked
continued
together. Yeah,
yes. And that's what I see. What I see is a quality stamp of a relationship.
Yeah.
Be it a boss-employee relationship or be it a supplier or vendor and customer relationship. If the relationship between these persons outlasts the names of brands they work for. And here we are today. Can you imagine?
And
Thank you so much.
The best
Hussein,
to
for
come
being
as
here.
well.
Yes, and I think this is just the beginning
Yeah.
of making the MENA region great again with people like Hussein Wehbi. Thank you for being here.
Muhammad, thank you very much and good luck in your mission. We are with you on this.